Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast, episode number 3 for April 18th, 2022.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Well, hello, children's. Happy Easter. Well, it's not Easter when you're hearing this because we release this on Monday, but happy Easter anyway. It's Sunday when we're recording this. Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
Well, I'm hoping I'll be okay. This has been a little stressful. Trying to get
great
this
fade out, by the way.
Trying to get this set up.
Well, you know, Amy, it takes time. It takes a lot of steps for you. You can't access the notes.
A lot of steps for me.
Just send me the notes. Here's a link. Oh, I have to log in? Just email it to me.
Okay.
I printed the notes. I had everything set up, and you still
have issues with Google Docs and Google sharing and Google emails. And I have 3 or 4 different Google emails. And then it goes into this process of log in under this one. Well, I don't want to because I'm in this one. Why do I need to log into this one? And I'm going to tell you what, if I logged into that one, guess what it would do? Hey, you need to log into this one too, because I've gone down this. Just email it to me.
I know.
And you did. And it was...
You can quit drinking as long as you want. Does that make passwords any easier, does it?
I have them all in a special little book.
They said your memory's supposed to get better when you quit drinking, but I don't know if that's actually happening for us.
I don't know.
You were accused the other day of your English not working out so well either.
Oh my gosh. No, that's a whole nother thing.
Anyway, we've had a great week. The weather here in the cornfields is starting to get a little bit better, but this isn't the weather podcast, so that's good enough for that. We did get Amy a new car because gas prices suck, so we got a little hybrid job out there that gets way better gas mileage than the old one, so that's nice.
It is amazing.
I know. You got a fancy little vehicle.
I do have a nice little new...
Speaking of technology, you're lucky your car doesn't have a password. Otherwise, you would never be able to start it because the thing is a computer on wheels.
Well, and then we have the app.
The app
that constantly notifies us there are several doors open or unlocked.
Yes, because it's in my garage.
I'm like, do I have to lock my car now that it's in my garage? I don't know.
When you
I
open
don't want
to. The app gives you little notification sections as apps do. And it has like 1,000 notifications.
I don't know.
Sunroof open, doors open. There isn't an alert to remind you to check the back seat. I had to turn that off because I'm like, I don't have anything in my back seat that I need to worry about.
Maybe it's telling you to check the back seat
for
in case
children.
There's some creepy guy in the back and you just look back there. Oh, okay.
You never know. You never know.
Did you see, I know I'm already deviating off the notes, but did you see that TikTok where the person's in the back seat and there's somebody trying to break into their car and they've got like a hanger and they're trying to hook it? And the person in the back seat is sitting there going, when do I let them know I'm in here? Which would totally freak me out.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I did see that, yeah.
It probably was fake.
There's fake
I know.
on TikTok?
It's probably fake.
Well, all right. Well, back to the show now, so Amy. Our drink of the week. Amy, what's your drink of the week? My drink of the week is Parallel Fruited Sour. It's a passion fruit and raspberry. If you like sour beers, it's actually not that sour as far as sour beers go. This is from Southern...
Unless you have some Easter candy, then it's quite sour.
Yeah, that will change the taste profile.
It's really very good.
It's from Southern Grist Brewing, which...
I love what they say, too. Can you read it?
Well, I'm still trying to finish the other thing I was reading. From Southern Grist Brewing Company, which is ironically in Wisconsin. Maybe it's southern Wisconsin? I don't know where Wanakee, Wisconsin is. What am I reading, Amy? This top part?
Well, I like how they... No, this one, the second paragraph. I just thought it was
When it came to asking ourselves if we should brew a non-alcoholic sour, the answer was simply, why wouldn't we?
There you go.
I don't know. But it's very good. And it's in is a 16 ounce, I think? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, there you go. Amy, what are you drinking today? Besides your coffee?
Because
Which
it's
is very
Easter.
non-alcoholic.
Because it's Easter, and a lot of people will have those questions, especially if you're newly alcohol free. You know, what are you going to have? I'm telling you what, I'm having an alcohol free mimosa, and no, it's not just orange juice. Okay.
Yeah, it's free. Is that the F-R-E?
Yeah,
Free? Frey?
it's their Brut.
Sparkling Brut.
And I know that wines have kind of an, you know, they're not always the greatest, but this, for mixing it in with orange juice,
right.
It's perfect.
As a champagne mixer, it's perfect. Yeah. I would agree.
So if you're going to brunch and you're concerned, go ahead and take your own stuff.
There you go.
I do every holiday.
Yep.
And I enjoy it. And I enjoy
NA Bloody Marys and NA.
And I enjoy not falling asleep at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm feeling great. I can keep going.
I know. I can fall asleep at 8:30 all by myself, so I don't need alcohol for that.
There you go. All right.
Again, thank you for all the feedback that continues to come in. As a reminder, subscribe, like, comment. That always apparently helps in the podcast world. If you go to afmpodcast.com, you can actually find our link to the YouTubes where you can actually watch
this
podcast if you would have any random desire to.
And if you can, please go out there and subscribe. Because don't we have to have 100?
You want to do a live stream? I think you have to have 100
I think we have to have
people.
100 people so that we can actually do a live.
It's probably more than 100, but you have to have a certain number to do anything on YouTube. So
just please.
I had to validate my phone number just to upload a video file this long. So yeah, help a podcaster out here.
There you go.
But thanks for the feedback. We got a great message from a fellow past podcaster, Matt out in California, who had a great message about his new adventure in non-alcoholic lifestyle. Started at the beginning of January, right?
Yeah.
Or end of December?
End of December. Yeah. And it was great. He sent me a video
so we hope to have him on, right?
Yeah. So all new. And he's doing great. And he is enjoying it. And I don't think I wrote down what he said.
Oh, you didn't write the quote down. That's okay. We'll save it for...
It was so good, but we will... It was really good.
This is an awesome quote.
It was, but
and thank you so much. I have a friend from my youth who is newly alcohol-free about the same time as Matt. She said she would be willing to be interviewed as well. So we've got some potential interviews coming up. We need to get on those, Amy, but we had to work out a few other bugs before we wanted to jump in the interview bandwagon. So
yeah, and we've got to just get through our stories first.
Yes. Before we get to our stories, Amy,
sure.
Here, I'm still trying to master my little sound effects. Is this on? Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Here we go. Welcome to Booze News of the Week with your host, me. You like that?
Me. Well,
host.
And guess what? That's what his initials are.
That's true. I was going to say Red Boy, but we aren't using that. All right. Your Booze News of the Week, Amy, is a kindergartner brings Jose Cuervo mix to class in Lavona, Michigan, and shared it with 4 other students.
Oh, man.
Local news is told that a kindergarten student at Grand River Academy in Livonia shared the alcoholic drink with 4 other students. The child reportedly brought a small plastic bottle of alcohol with more than 10% alcohol in it. I don't know why the 10% is relevant to the story, but it's probably, I think it's one of those like pre-mixed little like Cuervo bottles.
I bet it was.
There was one parent who apparently the child was shared with, I guess. I feel like her first year of kindergarten already cut short because of COVID, and situations like this just make it worse. Well, I don't know if I compare COVID to your kid getting a few drinks of Cuervo. Not that I'm saying it's okay, but I don't know if those are in the same bucket. Would you agree?
I don't know. You know,
it just seemed it seemed like an extreme comparison.
No, I would say if I had a 5 or 6-year-old and a friend offered him a drink at school,
as one happens to do all the time, right?
I would probably be really, really upset.
And privacy laws prevent them from sharing specific details. So we don't know how the kid got it.
Privacy laws have prevented us from anything. Now your kids all get lice. And nobody can tell anybody who had the lice from and anything like that, even though all the kids do know who it was.
Agreed. But they don't talk about how the child got it or what came from home, obviously. But
because of the privacy law.
What made it interesting was it was like labeled like lemonade something, which kind of gets into like how they marketed the vape Juul thing. Like it's all this branding and labeling that this kid probably didn't even know was alcohol in this. It just looks like a little fun little bottle of lemonade.
It's like the Hello Kitty wine.
Oh,
remember that?
right.
We can share a picture of that. That was just so fabulously displayed,
Right.
low enough for all the little kids to see.
Because I really don't think a kindergartner's thinking about it being alcohol. I think they just saw, hey, it's a fun bottle. Mommy and Daddy probably drink it. It says lemonade. Maybe, I don't know. Can you read lemonade at kindergarten?
Probably.
Anyway.
I would imagine.
So anyway, there's your booze news of the week,
kinda
kids. Keep your
sucks
booze
and-
high enough that your kid can't take it to school.
It's just, yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad for the parents because that's such, and you know what? If it would have been Luke, I would have been totally freaked out like that because it would be your first kid. You know, you're getting your kid off to school, that first thing. Because I was a much more crazed. I mean, like, I was little.
I feel like those child locks are not working at all.
I was on, high alert all the time with my kid.
That's your typical firstborn, secondborn. By the time it's the third one, whatever. And that's what they don't tell you. We don't know how many kids are in this family, so it may have been like, the
And who
eighth
knows?
one. Like, get out the door, go.
I would be upset.
I mean, I guess I'd be more upset if like it was in the kid's lunchbox. Then that's an issue.
We don't know.
Maybe
he did.
All we know is it had more than 10%
Maybe he had it in his
alcohol.
lunchbox and he cracked it open for a celebratory drink at lunch.
Nap time. Here's the nap time, everybody. I don't know.
I know it is unfortunate, but it's pretty easy.
There you go. So
It's pretty easy when it's.
if you live in
something
Livonia,
little.
Michigan, let us know if your kid was part of this deal. All right, Amy, last week we started your story, and we pretty much got your entire backstory up to about the time you're ready to quit.
I don't remember where exactly we left off.
Well, to start around about the time you're ready to quit. That'd be about right. So that's about where we left off. Or you have notes here that you put together that may help guide you.
I know, but I should have listened to like the last part of it. And I
Well, we'll
didn't.
see how this goes, kids.
Well,
Anyway, hold on. But we're going to go back in time. No, we're not. All right, I'll get better sound effects eventually. But all right, Amy. Please pick up from where you left off in the
all right.
past.
Well, you are something else,
I'm
man,
super
Edwards.
helpful. I'll sit here and enjoy my parallel sour.
Well, let's see. Where was I at in my story? Well, I think it was like right before. So let's go to January of 2020. That's kind of when I had my I don't know if I would call it my aha moment. And that was after an evening watching movies and you and I proceeding to have drinks. And it was one of those nights where Luke was watching the movie with us and I ended up getting very drunk. And I started to cry. The next day I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I say? I'm very good at hiding these things because I don't even think you knew because
You're good to a point, and then you tip.
Yeah. And the problem is, and I was talking with some of my friends, it's, you just never know. You'll be fine. You'll have evenings and weeks where you totally do moderation perfectly. But then it's like there's this little switch where you have no idea.
The way in which to screw it.
It's Russian roulette. It's like, okay, well, this time it didn't go the way all the other times went. So
Yeah, it's the old thing. Nobody can tell I'm this drunk, right? Nobody can tell. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm.
Just like
Oh
yesterday.
gosh, no! It just sucked.
Okay.
So I was upset about that, but not upset to not drink.
You weren't that upset.
No. But that really was one of those things where it kind of really, I'm like, you cannot do this again. This is not who you are. And so, also that year, just to give a little bit of background, I guess, well, actually even before that, you and I had switched churches. I think the year before we went through the Rooted program, which is it was a small group program that we went through. and there was a section on your strongholds. And I knew that a stronghold that I had was alcohol. And it really bothered me. But even in that moment of you're supposed to share with your little small group, and it was just women, and you weren't here you were traveling.
I got lucky I missed that one.
And I couldn't do it. I was just like, well, lucky for me, I'm pretty bad in other areas, so I'll share other stuff.
We'll just skip right over that one.
But going through that process, it made me aware again. So then fast forward up into January, and I felt just this complete inner conflict. It had really gotten to the point where it was almost every time I was having a drink, I was like, okay, is it going to happen again? And just being so...
You lose that ability to start saying when is enough.
And anyways, so there was a lot of internal conflict. I was really embarrassed. I didn't want to do that in front of my kid. I don't want to be in that scenario where I'm getting drunk with my kids. That's just not for me.
Or you have to rely on your children to help you because you become so inebriated that you need help of a sober person.
Yeah, and I just didn't want that. So, I ended up. I was thinking a lot about it progressively from that January until March. I was feeling worse and worse, and my anxiety was so high, and you come home from work and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to have a drink to relax. You can have a drink to relax. But then the next day, and it was just
that's part of the cycle. The anxiety from the alcohol, and you need the alcohol to calm the anxiety and blah, 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 blah.
Well, and until you get the knowledge, you don't realize that anxiety is actually being fueled by the alcohol. And it was just, I suffer from anxiety. And what I was using to relieve the anxiety was just making things worse. So, fast forward, I guess you and I, it was right before the pandemic. So we had gone up and we received word that we needed to get Luke's stuff out of his college dorm. And we went up to NIU. Within 2 hours, we ended up getting him out. We came back. Pritzker, our governor, announces that everything is getting shut down, locked down, the next day or something.
Yeah, so run to the grocery store.
So we go to the grocery store with everybody else. Everybody's in there. We're grabbing everything we can, and we have got to go to the liquor store.
Of course,
because we've had to cancel our spring break.
And they run out of alcohol.
And we don't
ironically, we ran out of toilet paper, not alcohol. But anyway.
So we go there, we buy
two boxes of wine.
But we bought enough alcohol for a good 6 weeks, at least.
Probably. I don't remember exactly. But
I do remember.
Okay.
I remember the cart. So we proceed. But then I'm sitting there going, you know what? It's spring break. I'm here. I'm just not going to drink very much, and it's going to be fine. And I didn't drink that weekend. And then we end up having drinks with friends out on a social distancing party. Didn't drink more than I usually do. It was one of those nights where I actually kept it in check. But I woke up in the middle of the night again and I felt horrible. And I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I just could not do it.
Before, you had already tried red wine. No, do white wine instead. And of course that doesn't work either. It was just this cycle that I just couldn't do. So I'm scrolling through my phone as we do in the middle of the night when we wake up.
And I'm like, okay, so here's the best news about Facebook and Instagram. They know you. So they start to send you messages.
Maybe even Facebook knew you needed to quit drinking, huh?
Yeah, I guess. And so I had been seeing this, I've been seeing different, ads to, quit drinking and different things like that. And there was a sober sis came up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. And I had
So that's
already
like a
tried.
21-day kind of deal,
It was a
right?
21-day challenge, and you're gonna do this, and then at the end, you can.
Do they call it a challenge?
There's 20.
See, I don't know
well,
if I like the-
it's a 21-day reset.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's called the 21-day reset, but it's basically
No, that's better
a
because
challenge.
I know it is a challenge, but I think you set the wrong mindset if you upfront call it a
Well,
challenge.
okay, she did not.
I know,
It's a
I know.
reset. So it was gonna reset this. You're gonna learn about alcohol. You're gonna learn about why you drink, and you know what? And you might choose to go
Keep
do
going.
moderation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm going to do 21 days. I'm going to be totally fine at the end, and I will go back to moderation, and everything will
be fixed.
Okay, I will be fixed. I will be cured. 21 days, surely 21 days will cure me.
After
So-
21 years or more of drinking. Yeah.
So, but what I love about Jen, shout out to Jen. She's awesome. Her thing was replace the ingredients, keep the ritual, enjoy what you're doing. And so I did that. And you helped me. And so we would do these, each night we would have little fun drinks. And
No, I was still drinking. Well, I was trying to
well,
moderate.
I guess, and I should talk. We went on a walk, and I told you. It was like this confession thing, and I was like really scared to tell you too. I'm like, all right, I got to take a break. I might have to quit drinking. I'm really struggling with this. And then you
Now,
decide.
why would you be scared to tell me?
Oh gosh, because you and I, that's what we've always done.
It was our thing.
Yeah, I mean, when your spouse is your drinking buddy.
Well, we've heard stories of there being, it doesn't always go swimmingly, which is kind of why we do this podcast, but it can be challenging. It's like, well, you want to quit. I don't. What if I didn't want to quit or
Yeah.
had no desire to quit, right?
And you were struggling with your own stuff.
Right.
And so you even had a little confession to tell me. And
Dun, confessions of a guilty conscience.
well, anyways, so you confessed to me that you were having. Well, no, you just told me. I'm just going to call you out. You had gone to the doctor, and you had found out that you were having issues with your liver,
Right.
and so you said, "Well,
They call the fatty liver kids caused by alcohol.
yeah," and you decided,
As much as I tried to Google it and find out that maybe it's caused by something else, but let's call it what it is, right? I mean, there's no denying.
well, and I was having like stomach pains, but
Denial just ain't a river in Egypt,
no,
kids.
but you have the anxiety and all that. But
Anyway,
you
so I confessed, you confessed.
and you said, "No, I'm gonna moderate. I'm gonna cut back."
Yep.
So
And
you're
off we went.
cutting back. I'm quitting. So we're kind of doing this together. Which, thank heavens, you did, because I really needed to have somebody be supportive. You never once said to me, "Oh, just have one. You're fine. Oh, you can do it. You can have one."
I really wasn't trying to babysit you on either side. Like,
No,
if you wanted to have one, that was your prerogative, but I also didn't offer you. I didn't say, hey, you need to have,
No, and so that was.
I was hoping my moderation helped too, because I wasn't just like getting hammered every night or something. So
No, so we really set out on that together, and with that, then I was introduced to This Naked Mind. That was one of the books she
that was
had.
after your 21 days. He's made
No,
up.
no. This was
Darn
like
it.
within. Actually, it was before the challenge even started. She said you should read this book,
Oh.
and I read that book. And when I was starting to read the book, Annie Grace says, she's like, "Don't try to read this book." Somewhere in there, don't try to read the book like in one sitting. Like kind of spread it out.
Would not be a problem for me.
And so I did that. But as I was reading the book and I'm getting educated on everything, I could feel a change in me, in my attitude about drinking, because I started to learn stuff. And then I started to get pissed. I started to get really mad about what and how we have been lied to. And
By the alcohol companies. or
not-
science, quote unquote.
well, the alcohol industry, everybody.
Right.
It's the cards. What is it? The cards are stacked against you.
Yeah. I was like, Cards Against Humanity? No.
No, the cards are stacked against you. They've got you, And
It's like the 50s when smoking was good for you.
yeah. And I started to educate myself on this. I'm going through the challenge. I am meeting all of these different women who are in the same thing. They're saying all the same things that I have. I finally felt like, oh my gosh,
Mommy wine culture is a real thing, kids.
But I found my people. I have this group of women. We did a Marco Polo group, and I found this group of people that I could check in with every day.
Yeah, well, you realize you weren't alone, too.
I wasn't alone. No. I thought for the longest time, I was like, what is wrong with me?
Well, you learned, touch on an important term you learned, which is a gray area drinker, right? Because too often, what's the one thing I always say? If you're Googling, do I have a drinking problem? You probably have a drinking problem, because people who don't Google those things.
I know.
But the gray area drinker, because we weren't, desolate under a bridge. We weren't, thank God we never had any DUIs yet. And so you're just like, well, I must be fine. I'm not as bad as that person. But what's a gray area drinker?
A gray area drinker is someone who...
Like us.
Well, let's think of it. Alcohol, it's called alcohol use disorder. So people are on a spectrum. Think of it, on this spectrum that you have people who have severe alcoholism, and then you have people who are social drinkers who can take it or leave it. They literally can go in, like...
Your sister.
My sister and brother-in-law. They can go and
whatever,
maybe have a drink.
Or not.
Whenever, or they don't, and it's never been an issue. But then you have people who are like us, who are right in the middle. We're high-achieving people. We have never lost a job. We go to work
on
every
the outside,
day.
we look normal and functioning. Functional alcoholic is a similar term, probably, but yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. But we don't. An alcoholic is not even a word that is recognized anymore. Really,
worse, people say you guys are fun.
Yeah, we were fun.
We still are.
We are fun.
Just different kind of fun.
And I think the thing is we still are fun. We thought we were going to lose our fun. So, anyways.
Now we're just old.
Still go out.
So you make these changes, and you start feeling good, and you start making little goals for yourself, right?
Yeah, well, I got to about, I just started feeling great. The first week, you're not feeling great. You're getting through it. And I wasn't feeling great till about, and I'm, putting out, oh, guys, well, I'm getting better sleep, but I'm still not sleeping. But when I am sleeping, I am getting better sleep. But around day 14, I am in the car and I don't know where I'm going. I'm just driving, and it's spring day. And the sun is shining.
Birds are chirping.
Oh, it was. And I don't know what song I had on, but
zippity.
I've got my sunroof is open, the windows are down, and I am looking around, and everything is in Technicolor. It is so bright, and I can smell I can smell everything. I can and my senses were just alive, and I'm driving, and I feel this emotion. And I'm like, what the heck am I feeling? And I'm like, I'm so happy. I am feeling joy, like joy that I have not felt since probably our kids. Like Luke was born and when we adopted Maggie. I had not felt that type of joy, like that exhilaration. And I felt so good. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't think I ever want to go back. Just did not think I ever wanted to go back because I'm like, I feel so good. Why do I? And I'm like waking up every day feeling good. I'm going downstairs and I'm doing my workouts and I'm feeling great.
Well, and if you're currently trying the moderation train, and I didn't believe this either, but moderation is way harder than just not drinking.
Oh, and it was just...
I used to not believe that either. I'm like, no, at least I can still drink. But you spend so much brain power. Whereas you quit and you never looked back.
Well, now I did have issues. There's times where I would come home and I'm like, oh, I really want, but I went into...
Or your husband gets drunk on New Year's Eve and ticks you off, Well,
I went through this ritual of making my little drink and enjoying it and doing what, focusing on
Well, you're big on that.
me
Keep
and
the ritual.
you.
Keep the ritual. Take out the alcohol. Right?
Yeah. And it really did work. And I know that trips some people up, but for me, it really worked. And it still works.
Which is important. What works for you?
Yes.
Some
And
people get triggered by NA beer. Then don't do that. But
And I used that for probably a good 6 months. And then over time, that kind of backed off. I still like to have a nice NA beer or something like that. It's
we don't
not
drink
an
as much or
every
as often as
night.
we used to do it. Yeah.
No. But at the beginning, I needed it. Yeah. I needed to.
It's kind of like the patch when you're quitting to smoke. It's same concept, right? It's not the drug, but the patch takes away. You can't have the hand to mouth thing, but it gives you the drug. It's kind of reverse of that. You can't have the drug, but it gives you that kind of process feeling.
Yeah, and it really worked for me. I felt amazing. Over time, the anxiety actually within the first 30 days, my anxiety had dropped off. Like, it just dropped off. I was not looking through. I was not seeing the world like I was. I mean, things were getting better. And so what I did was, the end of 21 days, I decided to extend it to 30. And then I'm like, okay, I need to do something to keep me going. So Annie Grace's This Naked Mind, they also have the free alcohol experiment, and they also do the live alcohol experiment.
The free, is that every 30 days or is that?
The free is whenever you want to sign up. They've got a free app and everything, and it takes you through, gives you 30 days that you walk through. There's videos, there's journal prompts. It just walks you through the process and educating you.
And one thing I like about her program, and I think you did too, was it's not you're going to quit. It's learn about why you're drinking and what you're drinking, and you kind of organically don't want to by going through the process. There's never they don't do the whole you don't drink for 30 days and you have a drink, you start over. It's no, you have a data point and you move along.
Mm-hmm. But also because we're at the beginning of COVID. And one of the things that I just loved is the coaches of This Naked Mind, they were going live because they recognized that people were really having a tough time. I mean, because most people, not most, but a lot of people were really gearing up on their drinking. They're like, I'm at home.
Nothing else to do.
I have nothing else to do. I'm stressed out. Good God. We don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen with the world? We don't know if we're going to have our jobs. There were so many unknowns. We've all gone through it. Just saying these words, I can feel the anxiety, starting to come up.
Yep.
But they went on and they did daily lives. They were on there. They were supporting people. They were answering questions, and it was amazing. And I remember watching those lives and thinking, I want to be a coach.
Well, and if you didn't start drinking more during COVID was a good time to quit because you didn't have that extra deal of social gatherings. You weren't put in positions of parties and bars. You couldn't do anything. So it took that while you were stuck at home. You kind of gave you time to focus on you. So that was, if it was a time to pick to quit, it was sort of advantageous, even though a lot of people, like you said, were dialing it up.
Yeah, there were a lot of people. And because I think in the stats, because I am a This Naked Mind coach, and the stats is when we went into lockdown, I think in April, that was I think it was either the live alcohol experiment or just the regular alcohol experiment. It was the least amount of people who signed up. But then that May, it was the largest group ever because people were in that month of April and already people were going, oh, yeah, wait a minute. There's something not going on right here.
Right.
So I went ahead and I did the alcohol experiment. And during this also, I was copying you on the information so that you could see it. Yeah, I did. So, but I mean, you were reading it.
If you're married, you know what it's like to get a lot of unsolicited information.
But you also, on your own, like you introduced me to the Recovery Elevator podcast because you were already listening to that. I was listening to Annie Grace's podcast. I read so much during that time. There's so many great resources and there's so many good podcasts out there. So that was kind of what I submerged myself into. And I was just like, I'm going to keep going. And I did. There's another program called the 100 Days of Lasting Change. And I did that just to keep me going. And then next thing you know, I got to 100 days. I'm like, I'm going to keep going. It was like.
Although I have to say, when you kind of got to that point, I'm like, part of me was like, oh, I was kind of hoping she'd go back to join me back in moderation. I'm like, oh, I don't think she's going back to moderation. So then that started my next level of thinking of like, oh, well, now I'm moderating. I don't think she's going to drink again, which sort of, gets down the road to my story of like, well.
Isn't that interesting? You've never shared that.
Well, it's like, well, she's not going to drink. It's a lot of work to drink by myself.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we went on family vacation, which was like crazy.
Yep.
We had Easter.
Because now you've been, 2 years at this point?
Yeah, I've been 2 years
Well,
now.
that's the first, going through
so
all
I was
the
going
first.
through the
first
first.
year's tricky because you have the first time trying to do everything.
Yeah. And it was, and I wasn't telling a lot of people either. I mean, I told you.
Most people won't.
I told my sister. I hadn't even at this point really hadn't shared it with my parents or your parents.
Because if you tell people, you get two things. Why you quit? Why aren't you drinking? Or what was wrong? Do you have a problem? It's like, it's not just we always say this analogy of people quit smoking. It's like, why aren't you smoking, man? Why don't you lighten up with us? It's a very similar concept, but it's sort of like, of course, I like to throw out, I have a liver disease. I mean, not really, but I did, I guess, the beginning of. But
well, yeah, I mean, you had mild fatty liver disease, and if you would have kept going, it would have gotten worse.
Yeah. I never want to get in the debate of,
Well, I don't either. And because,
it's a personal choice. If you want to, fine. If you don't, I don't care. Like, I don't, here's a reason why, here's a reason why you probably shouldn't. But if you chose to.
And most people don't care.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's more about them.
True.
It really is. And I'm the first person. I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. I will pour your glass for you. I will pour you wine. I will give you a beer. I don't.
We still have wine and beer in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of it, but enough if somebody comes over.
If somebody wanted some, that's fine. I am not. I mean, but what I want for people is I want them to be informed. Completely informed. So anyways.
I respect your choice to drink. You respect my choice not to.
Yes. And so as we went through this, I decided to go through all the firsts. So that led us up to, we went away on right before we got locked down again, we went up to that little vacation, weekend. We did that, took everything, went out to a restaurant and they made me a nice mocktail and it was terrific. And we just had a great weekend together. Decided then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try to go through Thanksgiving and the holidays and we're just going to see where this goes. Well, so I did that and then it was like, okay, let's keep going. And I just really kept feeling better. I mean, it's amazing. Especially during that first year, you just keep feeling better. I mean, and a lot of people will be like, well, I don't feel better. It's only been 30 days or whatever. But when you get out to about that 60, 90, 100 days, that's when really things start to improve for you. And for me, I didn't try to do this and I didn't even realize it, but I started losing weight. I mean, not everybody, and it wasn't like immediately. It was over probably 3 months, maybe more than that, about 4 months. I dropped about, 14 pounds or so. And
empty calories. Who would have thought?
I know. So anyways, I feel great. I'm so happy I quit.
Now you're Coach Amy.
And then I ended up, there was a possibility of, it's like, okay, I'm almost to a year. What am I going to do next? So I decided to
go big.
I did.
Most people say, well, okay, I'll just
Well,
keep on.
I'm like, you know what? I really thought about being a coach. Maybe I can help people, because you want to give back. You want to
Right.
share.
You feel so good, you want other people to feel good too.
share this news with people. So I ended up filling out the application to, just to find out about the coaching program that This Naked Mind had. And just because of timing, like I ended up hearing back like a week or two later. I'm like, well, I didn't even have any clue. I mean, there had been people who had been signed up for like a year who were waiting. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Anyways, went through that process. Almost didn't do it. You thought I wasn't going to do it. I'm on the interview with the head coach, Scott, and I was just like, he's like, what is holding you back? And I looked at him because I've done this over the past probably decade. No, it's not the right time. No, we don't have the money for this. No, we don't have that. And I looked at him and I said,
you should on yourself.
Yep. And so I'm like, hold on, I am doing this. I read up and I told you, and you're like, okay, all right, let's do this. So I did their 6-month program. It was great. I learned so much about myself. I know that I appear to everybody to be the same person, but I'm totally different now on the inside. My attitude, what I'm doing, just what fills me up is working with people and helping them. So it's been a great ride so far. And then I started the coaching business last year.
Then we started a podcast.
And then we've been talking about doing this for
forever, but that's a whole nother story altogether. Well, Amy, thank you for sharing
okay.
your adventure, your story. Next week we will talk about Matt. I don't know if my story is a 2-parter. It's not quite that involved, but
well, I think
we've made some changes that we don't have to cut at 29 minutes at dead stop, so that helped us a little bit this time too. So.
Yeah, but one of the messages I want to let people know is that alcohol is a highly addictive substance. And that's just a fact. It's the science. And we're going to talk about science. This is truly the science. Anybody can become addicted to it.
The science. Everybody loves the science these days.
Anybody can become addicted to it. I want everybody to know that if you are feeling horrible as a middle-aged woman
or man,
but primarily I'm speaking for me,
I know.
is that if you're feeling horrible, chances are it's not just menopause, because everything, all my symptoms of menopause basically melted away once I quit drinking. And
sure. I don't know. I can't comment on menopause.
better sleep.
I know.
Better sleep. Everything is better. I have to say.
It's all better.
It is better.
There we go. We'll have a better podcast. One day we'll have a better podcast. All right, children. Well, that's it for the episode number 3 of the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast. I hope this volume is right. I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out, too.
I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us once again. We will catch you next week when we'll start up my story. We'll have some more booze news and more fun stuff. If you want to be on the podcast, shoot us an email, feedback at afmpodcast.com. You guys find all the fun links there about us and the videos and whatnots.
Oh, one last thing. If you are interested in doing the live alcohol experiment, that is going to be starting May 1st. So there is sign up right now. And we will put a link in the show notes for you.
Ooh, we will. We need to remember that, but write that down.
We do need to remember that.
All right, kids, that's it for us for this week. I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy, wishing you peace and love from the cornfields, and we are out.